When you're a child learning how to ride a bike, you fall down over and over again. You scrape your knee, you bruise your elbow, you get all banged up, you get scraped up, you get those white marks that you get on your skin whenever you get scratches, unless maybe, I don't know, maybe white people don't get that because they're not the right complexion for it. No idea. But that's not really relevant to the point. The point is that when learning how to ride a bike, you injure yourself frequently. And for the most part, everyone who learned how to ride a bike was taught by some sort of older person, maybe an older sibling, maybe an adult, maybe their parent, whatever the case may be, maybe a neighbor if your parents weren't around, who cares? Someone taught you how to ride a bike. And every time that you fell down, the person who was teaching you to ride this bike told you it's okay. It's a part of the process. Everybody falls down when they learn. Maybe they told a tale from their childhood of how they fell down and had to go to school with 8 bandages on their elbow for a week because they scrape themselves up really bad, whatever the case. No, what they don't tell you is no, you're just not meant to ride a bike. They don't tell you that you don't have the genetics to ride a bike. They don't tell you that maybe riding a bicycle is not for you. They don't tell you that you're not the appropriate personality type. They don't tell you that you're the wrong skin color or you grew up in the wrong place. They know that if you do it for long enough and work at it, you will get the hang of it and you will be just as good of a bike rider as all of these other little kids who ride around on their bikes. They know that if you are willing to put into practice, it is a skill that you can learn, and they instill this lesson upon you. But ironically, the people who taught you that and the people who learned it, the vast majority of them anyway, go throughout the rest of their life completely missing this very valuable lesson. When it comes to things outside of bike riding and tree climbing and other childlike pursuits, nobody seems to be able to piece those things together and extrapolate them out to other endeavors. They can't take the lesson that they learned from riding the bike, that it's okay to fall as long as you get up and try again, and if you do, you will eventually figure this out. They take their falling down metaphorically in life when they go try and start a business or they try and get in shape or maybe they try and have a relationship for the especially sensitive people or whatever else it is that they go off on a journey to do doesn't work out for them. They say, man, I failed and this just was not for me, and they move on to something else or they do nothing, period. But if they took the time to sit back and look at what they had learned during childhood, and even worse, what some people taught their very own children, and were able to apply that to the remainder of their life, then they would see it's the exact same thing. Maybe that thing that you wanted to do didn't work out. Maybe you had a great business idea where you were going to sell some sort of service that I can't think of off the top of my head, some sort of new fancy coffee cup holders, and you started out and you got a bunch of inventory, you tried to sell them and no one bought it. So you assumed or decided that you failed right there without even trying anything else, without even putting more effort into it to see if you could actually get the hang of it. People do the same thing when they start a diet. They go on a diet for a week and they say, oh, it's not working. I haven't lost any weight. Maybe they were eating too much. Maybe they were eating the wrong things, which also amounts to too much as a whole. Maybe they just didn't do it for long enough, but they don't ever get the chance to find out because they are so determined to label every single thing that doesn't work out for them as a failure. But if you can switch your perspective, again, back to the child thing, because every single child learned how to ride a bike. Maybe not nowadays. I don't know what children do nowadays. Maybe their rite of passage is learning how to like TikTok videos or click YouTube videos on their own. Who knows? But the vast majority of people learned how to ride a bike at some point in their life, unless they lived a very sheltered and stupid, weird childhood. But the point is, every single person learned how to ride a bike. So if you could take those lessons and you look back at that, all of the times that you fell off the bike were not you failing at riding the bike. It was you learning how to not ride the bike. It was you learning what you should not do. Those weren't failures. They were steps in the direction of you eventually being able to balance and pedal and propel yourself on this two-wheeled apparatus, contraption, whatever it is that you would like to call it. I don't know why I didn't just say bike, but I didn't just say bike. Here we are. Don't worry about it. Anyway, All of these were necessary steps along the journey. It's the same thing for the kids who climb up the trees. They are covered in bruises, they are covered in scrapes because they were determined to climb up the tree. And they learned several ways not to climb up the tree. But what they didn't do was start climbing the tree, fall down, and give up and say, "Aw, phooey, this just is not for me," and went on to something else. Now, some kids do that, and they grow up to be failures in different ways. But the point is, every single person who learned how to do a thing learned it by trying and failing. When you tried to ride a skateboard, you fell off your skateboard. You know what I mean? Even professional skateboarders, if that's still a thing, are beat up from falling off their skateboard trying to learn how to do new skateboard tricks. If you get on a skateboard and think that you need to master that skateboard in order to be able to ever be good at it, then you are never going to be good at it. I know this for a personal fact. When I think I was in like 6th grade, skateboarding was popular and everybody was skateboarding, and I got a skateboard because I too wanted to skateboard. And I got on it, tried to ride it, and I was like, man, I am not good at this at all. I tried to do this little hoppy thing called an ollie, I think, and I fell. And I was like, oh, no, this is just not for me. Clearly, I don't have the skateboarding talents that the other kids have. Because I was stupid then, because I was a child, and children by and large are stupid, but that's a separate point. Anyway, the point is, if I had known then what I know now, which is you're not going to get the hang of things immediately, you just have to keep working at them, then I might have been a proficient skateboard rider. Would I have been a professional skateboardist? I don't know. But the point is, I would have actually taken the time to get good at skateboarding, so I would have been able to skateboard with all the other skateboarding people doing skateboarding tricks and grinding on rails, and maybe I'd wind up on ridiculousness and getting fucked up real bad from falling down some stairs. Who knows? The point is, I wasn't just not meant to skateboard. I didn't put in the work that it takes to be good at skateboarding, so I was not good at skateboarding. This is where most people fall at in life. People start their diet, and they don't stick to the diet long enough, or they don't do it enough to learn exactly how it is that they should be eating, what they should be eating, and how much, and all of that, and it doesn't work out immediately, so they quit thinking that they failed and dieting is not for them. People do this when they go to the gym. They go there for a week, they go there for 2 weeks, they go there for a month, hell, they go there for 2 months, and they don't see immediate progress, and they don't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, so they think working out must just not be for them. People go and try and start a business, and they dedicate themselves to it for a week or two. They don't make any money, so they think this just isn't working out, so this must just not be for me. I am not an entrepreneur. And while that's true in the sense that clearly if that's what you're going to do, you don't have what it takes to start your own business, that's not because you can't have what it takes to start your own business. If you are willing to do the work, you are able to do the thing. But most people are not willing to do the work because they believe that anything other than immediate success is failure, and that is absolutely not the case. If you are immediately successful at anything, that as a whole is bad for you, because something working out for you right in the beginning means that you are going to believe that you are good at it, and that is how things should go. Then when you hit a roadblock, that will be brand new, because your difficulty didn't come in the beginning, it came halfway through. So you are going to naturally think, well, this is just as far as I can go, because as far as you can tell, this just works out for you, and you're just naturally good at it. And most people believe that they need to be naturally good at things in order to do things. Again, had a similar experience. I've worked a lot of sales jobs, and whenever I started off doing sales stuff, it worked out really easily for me. I was good at speaking to people, I was very personable and well-spoken, all of that stuff. I'm amazing. People love talking to me, so obviously it's easy to sell stuff. But when it came to more difficult things or things that required a bit more persuasion, nuance, and knowledge, I hit a roadblock there. And because I had never come up to that, I had never had an issue with closing people, I thought this is just as far as I can go. I just don't have what the rest of these people have, because I did not understand that everything is a trainable and learnable skill. I thought things just were, and if something didn't work out for you, that just meant that it wasn't going to work out for you. I thought that if you weren't good at something, then you just weren't going to be good at things, and you had to find what it is that you had a natural proclivity for. But rather than being helpful, that natural proclivity is actually a hindrance to your betterment, because that natural proclivity will have you believing that your pinnacle, that your peak is somewhere in the middle of the road, because you've never met with resistance with anything in your life. You've never met an obstacle, you've never met some sort of challenge or difficulty or anything along those lines. And that will ultimately hold you back and do you much worse than anything else. It will do much more negative for you than positive. What's ideal is that stuff doesn't work out for you in the beginning, because at some point it's not going to work out. And it's better to get past that point when you get started so you can get used to it and you can cultivate the skill of having to push through shit. And again, this is where the belief that failure is something is not working, or something that's not working, holds people back. It prevents them from ever being able to accomplish anything in life. So many people think that they have failed businesses. So many people think that they have failed relationships. So many people think that they have failed workout plans or diets, but not a single one of them is true. Because if you had any sort of relationship that you were going to be able to make work, it didn't fail, you didn't work at it properly. If you had a workout plan that was going to work, because if a workout plan gets people in shape, it will get you in shape if you do it properly. If a diet helps people lose weight, that diet will help you lose weight if you do it properly. But people don't do it properly, and they assume because they didn't do it properly that it did not work out and that they failed at doing it. Then they decide that the thing as a whole is just not for them. But so far, what's not for them is effort. It is trying and it is perseverance. And that is why they do not get where it is that they would like to be, because they have the wrong view at failure. In life, in actuality, what truly is failure is to never start to begin with and just hope and dream and fantasize and think, oh man, I'd like to get in shape, but to never actually set foot in the gym, to think, oh man, I would like to have much more financial freedom and independence, and never do anything to make that happen. It's to say that you want to do whatever it is and never take any of the steps necessary to make it happen. That's failure. Failure is also quitting when things get difficult. You set out on a path and then you come up with an obstacle and you turn around and leave and say, this is it for me. You throw in the towel. That is failure. Failure is not something not working out. Something not working out is you learning how to be able to do that thing better. There's a saying. I heard it from Jay-Z. Maybe he came up with it. Maybe he did not. But, damn, what'd he say? I don't remember the exact quote. Damn, I remember the exact bar. I remember the premise of it is basically, I win or I learn, I never lose. That's not what he said exactly, but it's the overall summation of it. And that is the attitude that you should have, because if you go try and do a thing and it doesn't work, you didn't fail. You learned what not to do. And what not to do is every bit as valuable as what it is that you need to do. Knowing that you should not walk in the middle of the street when there's traffic is every bit as vital to your survival as knowing that you should walk on the sidewalk. Those aren't mutually exclusive things. So you need to learn these things in order to be able to do anything. So if you switch your perspective, failure is a form of success. Something not working out for you is you getting closer to where it is that you need to be, because at the end of the day, all it really truly takes is consistency. If you do something long enough, if you commit yourself enough to something and you keep moving in the direction of it, eventually you will get there. If you start off in California with the intention of traveling to New York with no real road plan other than to go east, and you were determined to get to New York and you keep going east, eventually you will come to some point where it says the I-95 North will take you some amount of miles to New York. But you will get to New York if you have it set in your mind that no matter what it takes, I'm going to do this. If you work out for long enough, eventually you will get in shape, period. If you diet for long enough, eventually you will lose weight, period. Assuming you're truly and actually doing these things. I worked out for almost 3 years before I started to, at least to me, look like I worked out. But I knew that if all of these other people could go to the gym and get in shape, then I could go to the gym and get in shape. So I'm doing the things that they're doing. I'm doing these workouts. I'm eating these food. And if I do it for long enough, eventually I will look like that. And because if I had the same mindset about failure that I had about skateboarding, that I had about the sales stuff that most people have about life, then I never would have gotten anywhere, because I would have quit after a week whenever I went and bench pressed and my chest didn't look all huge and whatnot. But I knew that if I did it for long enough, I will succeed at it. If you do something for long enough, you will be good at it. You will, at the very least, be much better than most people are at it. You will be better than you are now. I'm not saying that you could necessarily go be in the NBA just because you play basketball a whole bunch. But you will be much better at it than you are now, playing basketball, that is, if you work out and dedicate yourself to it every single day like you're trying to get to the NBA. Now, again, even in that scenario that you don't make to NBA, that's not a failure. That's just you learning that the NBA wasn't for you, because some things aren't for some people. But most people don't go anywhere near where it is that they need to go to actually truly learn that thing. And separate from these like elite sports leagues and whatnot, it doesn't apply to very many things. You can there is if you have a business idea that's not completely stupid and you work at it for long enough, you can make that business successful if you're truly dedicated to it. You could get in shape if you're truly dedicated to it. You can make more money if you're truly dedicated to it. You could get lean if you're truly dedicated to it. You can have good relationships. You can have whatever it is that you want if you are truly dedicated to it, and if you are going to consistently do it no matter what, because it is the consistency that will take you to wherever it is that you would like to go. Consistency accomplishes more things than intensity ever will. It's very easy to do something intensely for a little while, and then when that intensity doesn't pay off, what do people want to do? Say, I failed, and then quit, because they're losers and they are quitters. Don't be that person. If you want to go somewhere, go at it with full force for as long as it takes to do it, because eventually it will work out. And you can go back to like when you were a kid and you knew that you had to get back up on that bike because you knew that it would be much worse to sit around in the corner and watch all of your friends riding the bike while you just sit there on the sidewalk like, oh, I wish that was me. You knew it would be much worse to just sit there in the park on a bench, longingly staring at the other kids scaling the tree, thinking, oh, I wish that was me, than it is that will be much more painful than the pain of falling off of that bike or the pain of falling off of that tree. And if you view the remainder of your life and the remainder of your endeavors and the remainder of things that you want to do the same way, just as you learn to ride a bike, just as you learn to climb a tree, you will learn to do whatever it is that you set out to do.